Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, Fox Nation host Tommy Lahren, and also joining us, Red State Editor-at-Large, Kira Davis. There we all are. Nice to see you. So just before we get going, Matt Gaetz, I have a special, I mentioned this earlier, we have a little surprise for you.
Oh, goodness.
I think you'll enjoy it. I know the audience will. As I mentioned, I just thought you were so magnificent in these hearings. So we have just compiled a little Matt Gaetz greatest hits.
Behind those doors, they intend to overturn the results of an American presidential election. We want to know what's going on. We're going to go and see if we can get inside. So let's see if we can get in. When you talk about how liberals want to be around each other and cluster and conservatives don't want to be around each other and so they have to spread out, it makes people, you may not see this from, like the ivory towers of your law school, but it makes actual people in this country
when
feel
the
like,
president
excuse
calls
me, you don't get to interrupt me on this time. You've given tens of thousands of dollars to Democrats, right?
Sir, I think it's very important to support candidates for office. I think our
Have you given over 100,000? I just want to know the number. And you weren't elected by anybody, and you're here giving this testimony in place of the chairman. I hope that clears up the implication.
The gentleman does not have the time, and the gentleman has been warned before. He cannot simply yell out and disrupt the committee.
We'll see you on the field in 2020.
All right, I really enjoyed
This is definitely now my mom's favorite new show. Without question.
Well, can I say, the gentleman has the time. What would you like to say?
I think that I am likely off of Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler's Christmas card list this year. But frankly, Republicans need to learn how to fight in the era of Trump. I think too often we want to be so parliamentary and so kind when Democrats are literally cheating to overturn the result of an election because they cannot have a substantive debate with Donald Trump about the direction of the country. So the whole deal with them is to delegitimize, defame, deplatform people who carry the America First agenda. I'm not taking it lying down, and I can't wait to go back and fight for the real goals and values of our country now that we get this impeachment stuff through the legislative digestive system.
We are not, as we've seen.
And we've never been more unified.
Yes,
we didn't
right.
have this when we were in the majority. We had different factions. We couldn't come together on health care and other important legislation or immigration. But now that we see our president under attack, there is a new unifying sense of purpose among the Republicans. I think it's really going to animate us in the upcoming election.
Okay.
If this was the level of evidence in a car wreck case in a circuit court in some state in the country, the case would be immediately dismissed without wasting the labor of the court on it too much at all. And so I don't believe that we ought to do an analysis of the corruption in Ukraine or with the Bidens through the lens of impeachment. I think that's unfair to the president.
Okay,
I think initially we've got to take action to say, look, this impeachment is over. Democrats failed to deliver on their promises to produce direct evidence, to have this groundswell of bipartisan support. These weren't standards that the Republicans set. This is the standard that Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and Jerry Nadler set for themselves.
Right.
And then the hearings fell so flat that they weren't able to meet that threshold. But they're just so all in on the impeachment strategy. It is their alpha and their omega. And it appears they're ready to lead their entire conference off the cliffs. There is good work being done by the FBI all over the world. In my district right now, patriotic FBI agents are trying to solve this terrorist attack where Saudi students killed and harmed my constituents. And I'm grateful for that work that's being done on the front line, but not enough has been done at the head shed to try to clear up some of these institutional problems that the organization has. I don't think it's too much for us to ask for the FBI to focus on terrorists, not political opponents. I don't think it's too much to ask that they be talking to confidential human sources validating their information, not reporters trying to shape public opinion. And I'd like an FBI that protects our elections rather than engaging in salacious text messages during an affair to undermine our elections. They act like these are innocent mistakes. Like, oh, well, 17 times we might not have crossed the T the right way. I mean, what you're talking about is fabricating evidence, lying to a secret court to get privileges to go and spy on Americans. This is serious conduct that I think is going to result in criminal charges when Mr. Durham is done with his investigation.
So what do you think is the right response then? Wait for Durham and then figure out?
No, it's always a good time to clean up bad systems and to get bad people out of the institution. And I think a lot more of that needs to happen. I think the critique of Christopher Wray is a fair one. We had high hopes for him, but I don't think enough has been done to really show the American people the extent to which there was political activity and political bias within the upper echelons of the FBI.
Well,
this is such a great troll of the left, because the left has been telling us now for years that the family really isn't the foundational entity within American life, that we have to deconstruct the American family for the sake of political correctness. And I think for our government to make an investment in the family of our own workers will ultimately inure to our benefit from a productivity standpoint.
I don't want
people are able to create.
We don't have
But it's also good policy, because when you are able to establish that strong bond between parents and children, I think ultimately you end up with a more productive, engaged, enthusiastic workforce that'll be good for our country and good for the American family. Only in Washington do you hear people say, "I've done nothing wrong, and I promise I'll never do it again." That's right. Joe Biden said that they would change this policy and not allow it to happen. I don't know if there is a single American who believes it's legit to have the family member of the Vice President of the United States out moonlighting for foreign companies, but there is certainly no Democrat on the Judiciary Committee who is willing to defend it. Now, I took a lot of heat for exposing, I think, fair facts relevant to the analysis of this actual case, but we cannot allow political correctness to stop us from asking the tough questions when you've got a radical leftist mob trying to overturn the results of a U.S. election. Why did the other Democrat candidates take his word for it then? My question is, all these other people running for president, do they also trust Hunter Biden? Are they just kind of down with this program where he's allowed to run around the world internationally moonlighting for foreign companies? Or is there going to be some accountability within that Democratic primary where people step up and say, this is not legit? Are you buying that Obama doesn't believe that the Biden candidacy works? I mean, there's a lot of reporting out there that the Obama network is actually starting to turn on Biden because they don't believe he's got it. We'll have to mock him like they mocked Corbyn over in Britain. They said, what did they call him? The magic grandpa? And now we have to maybe call Bernie the socialist Santa. But instead of coming down the chimney to give you stuff, he takes away your health care, takes away your earnings.
We will see.